Welcome back. I'm here with midwife Justine Schilstra, and we're digging into the emotional side of postpartum recovery. Okay, so how do we truly differentiate between baby blues and postpartum depression?
Yeah. So baby blues is typically less than 2 weeks in duration. And it's that normal process of just transitioning and
Mm.
what comes with that. Postpartum depression means that it's lasted for longer than 2 weeks, anytime within the first year of the postpartum period, as I said. And it's really not improving. So it's the length of time that is going and we're not seeing you come out of it.
hmm
Yeah.
So you also mentioned during the break that postpartum
Psychosis.
psychosis.
Yes.
What is that,
Yeah.
and how long does that last?
Right. So we can have postpartum depression that can move into suicide,
Okay.
suicide ideations and thoughts of harm, and then you can have truly a psychotic break that can
hmm
happen very rarely for
hmm
people. Typically, maybe they have underlying factors which would predispose them to that, previous mental health concerns, family history of that. But where they are ultimately having a psychotic break, that they're unable to safely care for their baby.
So, how would midwives help to identify or support clients through something like this?
Yeah, so when we come for your 6 weeks of care,
Mhm.
at every appointment, we are screening you for your emotions. So,
Okay.
how are you feeling
Yeah.
today? And, assessing too, are you feeling this way? Like, how was your sleep last night?
Right.
Because if our sleep is good and we're feeling better,
Mhm.
well, that's an excellent sign that we're in the blues and we're coming out of that.
Mhm.
But let's say we've corrected some of those latching issues
Mhm.
and you're sleeping better and our baby's not quite as fussy and you're still feeling very low,
Right.
that's concerning to me. So we have actually measured scales,
Oh, that's great.
right, where we can have people fill in their surveys, their little bubble surveys,
Mhm.
because at the time it can be really hard to subjectively assess
Yeah.
how am I doing, and in 2 weeks from now, am I worse? Am I better? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we like to use those scales to help as a snapshot of this is how we were feeling at 2 weeks. And now we filled it in again at 6 weeks, and we're actually worse. And so that's a
Mm.
sign that we really need to be, intervening and
That's
having help.
excellent. No,
Yeah.
that's excellent. It's great to have a type of measurement because it can
Yeah.
all seem like a blur and a fog.
Exactly. Yeah. And all the days run into themselves in those first 6 weeks in particular.
Absolutely. So, do you collaborate with additional help or other professionals
Yep.
in some cases if necessary?
Absolutely. So the relationship with hopefully a family doctor, if they have one, is excellent in that situation. We like to set up relationships with counselors even
Mm,
in pregnancy,
that's great.
if we assess risk factors for
hmm
postpartum depression. We also have emergency crisis response for
Okay.
the unexpected situation. Um, and then as well, we have our public health units, which can support with public health nurses coming to your home,
Oh,
that kind
that's
of
good.
stuff. Yeah.
So, is there anything you do to try to help prevent or reduce the risk, like along these lines? Anything extra from what you've just said that for postpartum depression before it even gets anywhere starts?
Yeah. I would say the best place to start is months ahead of time in
Mm,
pregnancy. So having the discussion as we screen people, even in that initial appointment,
yeah.
asking how is your social support?
Oh,
How
that's good.
do you feel safe in your home with your partner?
Yeah.
Do you have access to good food and nutrition?
hmm
Are you worried? Because those things, if you're isolated in particular, if you're a newcomer to Canada, and you don't
Oh,
have social
yeah.
supports, you are more likely to experience postpartum depression. So, how can we set you up with resources ahead of time before we're in a crisis?
I think that's wonderful.
Mhm.
There's so many things that can play into how you feel if
Yes.
you're carrying this burden with you already as you're in pregnancy, and then you just feel like the world's ending afterwards.
Mhm.
It's great that you are actually trying to set up a way for them to handle it before it ever becomes an
Exactly.
issue.
Yep.
So, what message do you want new parents to hear if you're struggling emotionally?
hmm So I would say don't do it alone. Be talking with your partner. That's
Mhm.
really important. But yeah, reach out to the places in your community if someone's not checking on you. If you don't
Mm,
have a midwife who's
yeah.
available, make that appointment with your family doctor. Have somebody who's regularly checking on you. and find ways to get sleep as well as best you can, whether that's a friend holding your baby or your just being aware that your partner needs to help in that time frame too to get good sleep.
All right. Coming up, what role can family and friends play in supporting new moms? We'll talk about what's truly helpful and what to skip after this.